whether I can take up this slot, which at that point of time I was a bit worrying that I dare not to promise because it was too short a time for me to prepare all this. But nevertheless, by evening, I confirmed with her that I would do it. And I like to share with everyone the reason why I decided to take up the challenge. Firstly, definitely because of Brother Joe Huang. And of course, secondly, is because we like to keep this book study to continue without any interruption. Why Brother Joe? Well, it's definitely not because of I'm using Dharma as a present to him, which is taught in this book about Yang Kuang and the Prince of Jin. Actually, I try to recall a few years back when Brother Joe came in to Sielong to do the sharing. The first time after we have the English book sharing on the Dharma, I was given the opportunity to take care of him. And I remember when he came in, he was so tired. And he told me that, brother, I have not had my PowerPoint done yet. And he only got 1 hour to do it, actually, to do the sharing. And at that time, of course, Brother Joe is quite popular. There's many admirers, so-called, who wanted to go and say hello to him. And I was so worried that it may interrupt him. I locked out the room at the multipurpose hall and tried to tell the sister and brother, please leave him alone. He only get 1 hour to do it. And Lord and behold, he did it. And 1 hour, of course, he's a grandmaster for this thing. He did it and he went out to share. So with that, I thought, I have 12 hours to do it. Let me try. And thank God, indeed, I managed to do it. So what I try to say here is that just in case you see any typo error, anything missing, any fact not correct, please excuse me. And my excuse is I do it in a very short time. And actually I finished around 5 o'clock anyway. Nevertheless, that inspiration made me going for this, yeah? So now let us go straight to the episode 25, which is the final episode of this book. Before we go there, we go to the synopsis of the story of Master Zhi Zhe, okay? This is the arrangement which I'm going to share with everyone. The first one, let's talk about the synopsis of Master Zhi Zhe first. Slide 3, please. The third slide, sister. Yes. Master Zhi Zhe was born during the warring time, or immediately after the warring time of China, where there was actually Buddhism at that point of time was actually quite flourishing. And he was actually born in a well-to-do family, but as young boy, he has already aspiration to become a monk, which of course his parent doesn't agree to it. But eventually when they pass away, he become a monk, and from there he proceed further. Eventually, under several masters, what do you call that, meditation master, Chan Shi and Li Shi, his stepmaster and all this, eventually he became a well-known proponent of Buddhism. He founded Tentai Buddhist tradition after later part of his life, and he was the great proponent of threefold of Lotus Sutra, which is very important to the Buddhism or Mahayana Buddhism. We call that Chinese school of Buddhism, of course, which spread to China. Korea, Japan, and whatnot. This is very important sutra that has influence over the Mahayana teaching. And also through his, what do you call that? His writing of the 58教, meaning 5 period and 8 teaching to harmonize the monastic communities of North and South of China. And that's one of his great contribution. Of course, through his 10 dietary treaties, 5 period, 8 teaching, this is major book that we have done. And he dedicated his whole life to promote Buddhism to masses. And because of his love for the country, for the Buddhism, and for the people, eventually, after he passed away, he was honored as a Sikyamuni in the East. And there's a short synopsis of what Master Zhi Zhe. Now let us go to episode 25 of the, actually it's not a book, isn't it? I think we are all watching the video to study. So up to the last chapter of this episode, by that time, the Grandmaster Zhi Zhe knew that his life is coming to an end, was coming to an end. And as a person full of gratitude and grateful to all the things in life, in front of the Buddha, he was grateful for his life that Buddha has given to him, and he said he had no regret to become a monk for his life. And he went further to say that his life is full of wonders and beauty. And he enjoyed the freedom that comes with upholding spiritual purity. So you can see his life is very simple, all dedicated, all committed to 3 causes: for the country, for Buddhism, and for the people. And this Grandmaster Zhi Zhe is always grateful to everything. Yeah, even to the place where he was born, to the mentor master, Master Hui Si, and to all people in China at that time. So from that, it reminds us of course, our master, Master Chen Yan, who, when we first came to Zhi Zhe, when taught us about the word 感恩, about our gratefulness to everything. He always say that in Chinese, 人人要感恩, 时时要感恩, 处处要感恩. In other words, we are grateful to everyone. We are grateful every time, and we are grateful in everywhere. So in other words, we have to be grateful to everybody, time, space, and people, yeah? So with that, and at the same time, you can see Master is always so humble and so grateful. Even as of Tuesday, he said grateful to all the volunteers to Malaysia. There was a report of the COVID-19 of Malaysian volunteers to her. And he had been repeating 感恩 so many times. And at the same time, the word that touches me was that she said that I'm only sitting here, I'm doing nothing. It was you people out there who were working hard, who were doing everything. For a teacher of such stature, I think that humbleness is really something that we cannot imagine of. And the other thing is that, okay, in this episode, before that, I'd like to share about regret. To live in our life with regret without regret is an ultimate that one can ask for and should be grateful for. How often do we hear about people say, I should have done this and that for my father, for my mother, while he was alive, but now they are no more here. I regretted I did not do it, to the vow, to want to take him somewhere, and now there's nothing I can do for him. That is exactly happened in this episode, or in the earlier episode, episode 25, when Grandmaster Zhi Zhe knew that the time has come, due to his ill health, he asked the disciples, which of you can vow immediately to give your life in exchange for enlightenment and for delivering all sentient beings? Then as a master, I'm willing to offer everything to help you attaining enlightenment. Anyone? That was a question posed to the disciple at this Sichen temple. He was about to pass on, and there was stone silent. Nobody answered. And of course, Master did not say anything. And subsequently, when Master Guanting actually, he was the one who helped Master Zhi Zhe to compile, to organize many of his teachings subsequently in writing. And he explained that out of modesty, we didn't respond to his request was a mistake. So he reckoned that was a mistake. Now, we have missed the opportunity of vowing to follow his example before him. We regret not able to do so much now for the master. So that was actually a very painful decision made for not making the vow. And of course, now it's not irreversible. Then now back to us as church volunteers. As a first disciple of Master, we should also not to miss opportunity to make vow before we miss the opportunity. I think we should, without further postponement and further delay, make the vow. In fact, for commissioner, when we went for commissioning, we have already taken the vow. And badge a pin on our shirt, take Buddha's heart as our own, and take Master's mission as our own. For Xing Shi Zhi, this four words are pinned on our suit or our shirt. But the challenge is that this vow, how long can we stay fast to the vow and remain unwavered in our vow? I think that's the lesson for us to learn and to really ponder over it. So this is what happened to that conversation between the master and his disciple. And also, Master Zhi Zhe always remember of his mentor master, Zen master, Hui Shi's reminder when they were at Da Su Mountain. The master reminded him on this, do not be the last bearer of the Buddha's teaching. That word itself, true to his devotion and commitment to Buddha and the reminder, for his whole life, he has been practicing and propagating that even up to the last stage of his passing. Grandmaster Zhi Zhe did not forget to remind his disciple about Buddha's teaching. And at that point of time, he said, what I can leave behind to you all is what I have learned through my lifelong study of the Dharma. That's exactly Actually, our master used to say that before, he has nothing to give to us except the Dharma that he's going to leave behind for us. So during that conversation, Master Zhi Zhe then asked the disciple to keep in mind when they practice about this, the great treatise of concentration on insight. There's a part 3 treatise of the great Tentai treaty, 3 great treatises of Tentai. That's on the meditations. So he told them that one-mindedness in threefold contemplation will attain the perfect and immediate insight. We will not, we talk about actually Yi Xin San Guan, about this Kong, Jia, Zhong. We won't go into all this. I think these are all Dharma explanation. Perhaps Brother Joe may like to entertain us on that. But here, we will just talk about generally about this contemplation. And he also talked about Yin and San Channel. One will realize that in a single thought or in a single moment, it can go to 3,000 realms. That means that the vastness of the universe, so the powerful of the mind. And the third thing he talked to them is about repentance. He want them to repent regularly because through repentance, one can cleanse one's Dharma of the past, present, and the future. This is, and also at his last stage of his life, he did not forget about the country and the people. In his will, there were 3 requests given to Master Yang Kuang. Yang Kuang at that time was a prince of Qing. And the 3 requests basically is covering 3, the purpose of this cover for Buddhism, for country, and for the people. The first request that he hoped Yang Kuan, as a disciple of his disciple, and also as a Bodhisattva, will spend more time to study Buddhism. Yeah, and use the Dharma to govern the country for the betterment. So that's where actually we go back to the value of these 3 treatises in the first episode of the studying. And the other one is to be the supporter of Buddhism. So this was his first request to Yang Kuang. Then the second request was for Yang Kuang to erect a memorial tablet or a statue for his mentor, Zen master, Hui Si, and that is to show his gratefulness, his gratitude to his mentor master who taught him so much about the meditation. And that's where he, from there, further developed about the technique and the procedures of Zi Guan. And the third thing, the third request for him to Yang Kuan was to request Yang Kuan to build a temple, Guoqing Temple at Tian Tai Mountain. If some of you can recall what happened during the earlier time when he went up to Tian Tai Mountain, there was a prediction by Master Quan Ting, who told him that you build a temple here, but Master Zhi Zhe said it was not possible. for him to uh, assist to build a temple for the people. So by the time, at the age of 60, Master Zhi Zhe passed away. At the Si Chen Si, with the chanting of Buddha's name in a cross-legged sitting position. So that was his passing and the end of his life. A year later, Yang Guang built the Guoqing Si at Mount Tiantai. And the thing is that the Master Zhi Zhe, forever so kind, forever so generous, he told the disciple that let's give the credit of building this place to all the people instead of me. That is the value of Master Zhi Zhe in his life. In whatever he do, he put people before him. And of course, you can think of our Master Chen Yan is always the same, always so caring for us. Like even this time during COVID, without fail, he always repeat and repeat about to be safe when we do all our work, yeah? And eventually this temple became the holy site of the Tiantai school. Wow. Now, let's go to the next one. Teaching without regret. What is all this about actually? What do I pick this up was because Masters have done so much. Has done so much. One could expect that by the time he passed on, he could have cultivated, his cultivation could have brought him to a very high level of Bodhisattva. But what he told his disciple is that because I benefited others at my own cost, when he was teaching about this teaching, there is a desire, of course, to have more people, more disciples, more people to follow the teaching. To me, I thought that was a positive desire. I mean, it's not negative. But because of that, and he lose, I suppose that he said, I could only reach the 5th preliminary grades of the disciples. Sorry, there's a typing error here. And he have no regret on that he have actually delivered so many monastic communities and also so many people, but he was still at that level and did not reach the level that one could expect him to be. Okay, the other thing that about the Master Zhi Zhe is that about his right thinking and right teaching. Even before his passing, at that moment, he refused to show about his spiritual power, meaning that all of us know that actually experienced cultivator, they have something with them that they can show. And in the society today, one can see that there are many deviant teachers who teach things using the spiritual power to attract people to be his disciple, and at the same time to ask for donation and whatnot. So Master Zhi Zhe at that point say that was because he wanted to encourage future generation of cultivator to cultivate the right path, the right teaching, and the right understanding to avoid any deviant teaching so that they end up with negative karma. So this is again his care and love for his people and the Buddhism. So now, the next one is, after doing this introduction, let's look at Master Zhi Zhe and Master Chen Yan's similarity and the life. Grandmaster Zhi Zhe came from a noble family. Father was a high officer in the court, and due to his affinity in Buddhism, at his young age, he had decided to become a monk. Of course, if you remember, when he met the master, Zen master Hui Si, who reminded him that they were once together at Vulture Peak, listening to the expounding of Lotus Sutra by the Buddha. So meaning that he has been cultivating all his life, all the previous life. And that's why in this life, he has an extraordinary wisdom for him to be able to achieve what he was at that point of time. Now look at Master Chen Yan. Master Chen Yan came from also a well-to-do family. But the sudden demise of her father, who was actually led him to ponder about impermanent, about what life is all about. And as a younger, she have made few attempts to leave the family. And of course, first few times, the mother found her and take her back. But at last, she went off and landed up in Hualien. So, and from there, of course, his affinity with the Lotus Sutra. We'll go to talk to that later. And the other thing about Zhi Zhe, Grandmaster Zhi Zhe's similarity with Sangren, our master, is that even at the last stage of his life, even episode 23, 24, he was so ill. But because of the request by Yang Kuang to go to share, to expound Buddhism at the court, he did not say no. He, at that time, was very ill. In fact, the last invitation, he was on the way there, but his body could not make it, and he stopped short of attending that Dharma teaching. And likewise, look at our master. You see, for past so many years, Master Chen Yan had never stopped sharing, never stopped expounding the Buddhist teaching, Buddhist Dharma. And we can see for the last 1 or 2 years, when Master was so, the body is not at the peak, you can see the voice was not so clear, but she continued to talk. She continued to expound. Of course, with the caring of the monastic monk, you try to not to overwork her, but try to slow her down. But at time, in the earlier year, you can see Master with the drip on her arm hanging around. She still went on to share about the Buddha's teaching. So that you can see both of these two great teachers, they really use their life to teach. And I remember he did once say that I will continue with my sharing and my teaching until my last breath. That was what Masters said. And that is also what Master Zhi Zhe did at that stage of his life. So, okay, now, shall we now go to the essence of the study? I can only pick up a few that I think that interests me. And of course, they are not everything. And with this short period of my preparation of this sharing, these are the few essences that I like to share with everyone. First is the Tiantai Three Great Treaties. That's in episode 1. What is that so important about the treaties? After 363 years of the passing of Zhi Zhe, Emperor Wu Yue sent his paper to Korea to request for a copy of these treaties with 50 boxes of valuable gift. What is that so important about that and the value of these books or this sutra worth more than the 50 boxes of the valuable treasure? I think most important thing is that at that point of time, China, during certain period, there was war, there was discord, and the country was in a very unstable state. But in other country, in Korea, that the king of that Korea was using this treaty, the teaching of treaty, to govern the country. And that is actually why I think it's important to the emperor to acquire a copy of this to learn. And of course, also the influence of this Lotus Sutra to the Mahayana school of Buddhism at that point of time that has spread all over the China, Korea, and Japan. In fact, in Taiwan, of course, we are one of the several who practice this humanistic Buddhism. Of course, there are 3 and there are 4 main big ones in Taiwan. And even in Japan, of course, we have a branch over here in Malaysia, which is Soga Gakkai, Chanjia Xiehui. They are also actually following the Lotus Sutra in their teaching. So it has spread all over the world about this, the importance of this Lotus Sutra. We will talk about that later. Now, slide 11. Master Zhi Zhe's contribution to China's Buddhism. I think that is important. Buddhism was originated from India, and the teaching and all this was actually including many Indian culture and Indian practice. So Master Zhi Zhe actually adapted this Buddhism, not adapted, actually have changed to include certain teaching into the Chinese culture. And with that, I think it has eventually became the main sutra in the Mahayana school of Buddhism. Yeah, I think also, his contribution to China also, as we said earlier, to harmonize the Northern and Southern Buddhist monastic community by producing the 5 period and 8 teaching. And also his meditation method, Yi Guan, Yi Nian San Guan, Yi Nian San Qian, and Zi Guan, all these. These are all the improvised or thought of by Zhi Zhe, Master Zhi Zhe, in the meditation procedures and technique. Yeah. Now, 10 days. This the next one, and the treatise and the relationship with Zhi Zhe. Let's look at it. Zhi Zhe's foundation is based on the Sutra of Infinite Meanings. That's what we are sharing now. And the teaching and the principle of Jing Si Fa Mai, which is our internal cultivation, was actually adopting the 30 or 16 words from the Sutra of Infinite Meanings, Jin Qi Jin Chen. That's 16 words. Everybody knows about it. We see it everywhere in our Jing Se Tang, in above the main hall, the main Dharma hall, and everywhere the 16 words are there. That was our Jing Se Fa Mai, the teaching of our internal cultivation. And what he say here is that with our inherent tranquil and still mind and undefiled, we have to make great vow and diligently advance. That's our cultivation, internal cultivation, which is part of the infinite meaning, Sutra Infinite Meaning. And of course, the Zhi Zhe school of Buddhism is our external action to walk the Bodhisattva path, and there, among the people, to work among the people, and to find the infinite Dharma doors. So this is actually the spirit of the Sutra Infinite Meaning, which is the opening sutra of the Lotus Sutra. And that was actually, in a way, directly related to the first book of this, first treaty of this 10 Tai Three Great Sutra. Now we look at even the meditation. The meditation in the slide 14, I think this Brother Joe, in the last book study, I think in episode 23, he showed a comparison and similarity between this concentration and insight with our cultivation, spiritual cultivation of Jing Si, tranquility and contemplation. That's why this Jing Si is what Master Cheng Yen is teaching us, how to cultivate internally, how to meditate. It can be walking meditation, sitting meditation, and whatnot. Jing Si, everywhere, in fact, we can meditate once we bring our mind down. Yeah. So this is a few very simple, not simple, similarity of these two great teachers. Most important of all is that Grandmaster Zhi Zhe, great vow for country, for Buddhism, and for people. And remember Master Cheng Yen's vow. Actually, at that point of time, when he took refuge under our Grandmaster in Sun Fa Se, within the few minutes, she was given the 6 word, 为佛教, 为众生. And this 6 word has been with her for the last 50 over years and is still going strong. And it was still with her, which like Master Zhi Zhe, which I believe she will be expounding or propagating all this until he's no more with us. And for Zhi Zhe disciple, what do? We take actually from the master. From the master, sorry, a few typo error here and there. When we become a commissioner, we took 佛心师智, which means that we take on the Buddha's wisdom, Buddha's compassion, and we take on the master's mission, the 8 missions of compassion, use of compassion, kindness, to relieve the people or the sentient beings of their suffering as ours. So these are the actually similar teaching of the Zhi Zhe, Master Zhi Zhe, and our master. Now, again, I have actually picked out few phases of interest that I actually gone through the video. Number 1 is in episode 2. We saw that there were the Prince of Jin was there with the Guanting, Mas Guanting, and it was in the garden. They are full of flowers, and there was a lonely palm tree there among all the beautiful flowers. I take it that there was a comparison between just a stand-alone palm tree, not competing with the rest of the beautiful flowers, which is blooming at that time, of course. And that actually, my take is that I think this is the lonely tree is to show the humbleness of this Master Zhi Zhe. He was so humble, he just kept so low lying and not competing with others. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that he's not doing what he was doing, because I think the understanding that he said every flower has own time and own seasons. So it can actually anyway, I think we can be humble at the same time. We can also influence people on our teaching. We need not to be actually to be always the one who shouted the loudest. Master always remind us again, let's create good affinity with others. 多借善言 with other people. To do that, actually, we got to actually always be humble. And she always tell us, let's work together as a team. Let's be united. And let me, actually, I have this to share, which I shared with our English group before. Let us be we specialists, I mean we specialists, rather than be an I specialist. This I specialist, of course, not EYE, not I specialist. I mean me specialist. Let's work together to be humble in a 和和互协, in the teamwork. And with that, I believe we can create more affinity with many other people. See, today, Zhi has spread to more than 100 countries in the world. Our master is still so humble. And that day, again, she said, I'm only sitting here. I didn't go anywhere. It was you people who were out there who are doing all the work. And how humble she can be. We knew she created the world of Zhi Zhe, without which there's no way we can cultivate what we are cultivating now. So that is actually, he's a great teacher, great religious teacher, and yet he's so humble. So I think this humbleness is very important in the value, in the quality of Zhi Zhe, Master Zhi Zhe, yeah? Now, let's go to the next one. The phase that interests me again, that is on the episode 3, when the Master Zhi Zhe was on the way up to the Da Su San. He was holding a map. He was lost. he couldn't find the right path. And at that time, he met someone who guided him, who showed him the right way, how to go, where to go. So without which, Master Zhi Zhe will have a limited progress. Likewise, in Zhi Ji, this is the same. I think the one that impressed me the most is the picture in our Suxian with Master's finger pointing to the direction. We only see the arm and the finger, and that says everything. That is the path. That is the right direction that we should take. So we are so glad and so fortunate to have a great master like Master Chen Yan to guide us, to lead us, so that we can take the right path to the final destination that we are cultivating. So this is actually the take for episode 3 of that video that I've touched me. And the episode 4, which is escape from samsara. Rather die for pursuing of Dharma than to live without purpose. I think this is this happened when during the wartime, when the family were running away and they were in the broken temple. And when there's another Dharma master came in and came to the scene and share his whatever he had with a hungry person. And the conversation between him and Master Zhi Zhe is that I rather pursue my Dharma or to pursue the Buddhist teaching and than to live without purpose. So this actually also made me ponder about the vow when I shared earlier about making the vow to give up their life to attain enlightenment, and the disciple decided to keep silent. And perhaps Quanting at that time, Master Quanting maybe have explained, maybe because due to their modesty, that they remain silent, and not because they do not want to take the vow. Perhaps I would give the benefit to that, yeah? And then again, now let's go to the next one, which is the peaceful and joyous practice in Dharma sharing. And in the Chinese, 不要不把佛法当人情. Actually, this came out from the chapter 14 of the Lotus Sutra on the peaceful and safe, joyous practice of spreading Buddhism. In that chapter, it was explained how and why we should do it, and do and don't of spreading Dharma. And here, this was taught to him meaning Master Zhi Zhe, before he went into the practicing of the Samadhi. This was given to him by his mentor master, Dharma master, Hui Si. So he told him that the Dharma is not to be present, used as a present to others, because Lotus Sutra reigns supreme in Buddhism Dharma. It's number one in Buddhist Dharma. Not everyone with normal capabilities, or aptitude are able to accept it. You only share with those who have the affinity and hide from those who do not have. Actually, that was what he said. But again, that's what we say. We believe that in life, all of us have Buddha nature in ourselves. Even as I shared last week about in the Infinite Sutra Infinite Meaning, Devadatta, who was an evil person who want to unite the Dharma communities and even to kill Buddha, he eventually became Buddha. And of course, the other one is the princess, the young dragon princess was the same. She's a female. She was a female. She became Buddha subsequently. So I believe we have to use our wisdom to observe the capacity of that person. He still have the Buddha nature in himself. I think what if I read further, what we say is that we do not also, when we do the sharing of Buddha teaching, most important thing is we do not expect anything in return. We have to give without any conditions, any expectation in return, so that we will not take advantage of the teaching. That's why when he say not to treat Dharma as a present to others, I believe also to ourselves. We don't use that. That's the reason why I think if you go to the later part of the video, there was a part whereby Master Zhi Zhe did not teach all the Dharma to the Yang Huang. And the disciple asked him why, but he did not answer of why he did not want to do it. Yeah? Okay. So this is about peaceful and joyous practice. Actually, the most important thing is that this is to protect the safety of ourselves against the affliction that we have. Well, by not following the practice procedure, we will end up with many afflictions. Yet we try to do good things. So this was the prelude that given to Zhi Zhe Master Zhi Zhe, by his mentor, Dharma Master Hui Si. And the next one that touches me, of course, is that do not be the last bearer of the Buddhist teaching. What he was saying is that there are many evil people around teaching deviant Dharma. We must know how to spread the Dharma, the true Dharma. We must use our judgment to spread the Dharma. And at the same time, we must never forget to deliver all living beings. We must pass on the Dharma generation to generations. I think, meaning that the teaching, of course, this was also given by his mentor, Zen Master Hui Si to him before he came down from the Tasusan and allowed Master Zhi Zhe to take over, to recruit disciple and to run the place. That was his parting word to Master Zhi Zhe. Yeah. Okay. Could you go next one, please? So of course this is of course Wen Si Xiu. Again, I think the other day, I think Brother Joe have talked about uphold precept, practice samadhi, and acquire wisdom. Which one come first? And all this. I think his son Wu Lou Xue. Again, we can see this in our Jing Se Tang along our Dharma ramp, the 3 big words at the first landing of the Dharma ramp. You can see this word there. Okay, we will not talk about that. But only thing to say is that one cannot hold precept. If you cannot hold precept, you are unable to practice samadhi and gain the wisdom. That was what Master Zhi Zhe told Yang Kuang when he asked about this question. Yeah. Okay. About showing the magic power and true teaching, we have talked about it just now. This again touches me about not to show that divine teaching may end up in the negative Dharma. Let's go to slide 22. This is again that struck me when Master Zhi Zhe decided to leave Jingling when he was expounding the Dharma at that time. Many people came to listen to him. Many people like to listen. Year 1, there were about 40 people came to seek Dharma, but only 20 of them were awakened. Then in year 2, 100 people came, and the number still remained 20 people retain the truth. And in year 3, the number increased to 200, but the number came down. Only 10 people reached enlightenment. And as you go along, more and more people actually, or less and less people came. So to me, I was thinking that perhaps people are actually learning Buddhism as a academic or intellectual way, knowledge rather than wisdom. They want to know more, but they are not practicing it. And what is said in this video is that if we learn sutra in a pure intellectual way, it's pointless. It's just like a firework. That spindle is short life and have no substance. That's why people cannot sustain. People lose interest and they do not understand the true teaching. And of course, for Master, it was true experience, it was true teaching among the people that we experience, we learn the Dharma, Fa Zhu Xing, from the Fa Zhu Xing, Fa Zhu Xing. With that, with a strong foundation of understanding, that will sustain the number. So because of this, actually, Master Zhi Zhe decided eventually to leave Jingling and went up to Tiantaishan. That was one of the reasons why he left. And it's no point, he said, for one person, you can only propagate and only deliver so small number of people. And from there, he started to write the 3 treatises. Yeah. Okay, now go to 23. Slide 23. And this is again his how grateful the Zhi Zhe Master is. His life is coming to an end. At this moment, I'm deeply grateful, nothing but grateful, which you always say, 感恩 and nothing else but further 感恩. And that's what we were taught in ZhiZhe the first day we came in. And this kanon actually came from the inner self and not just a word, actually from the feeling. Yeah. Okay, the next, please. Vow. This again, we will talk about it, but I put a question mark here. Now, perhaps after listening to the reply by Quanti, I think the reason why they dare not to make the vow at that time, or perhaps due to their modest. I hope that was what my understanding. Okay, next, please. For us, I think make vows is part of our training, our practice. And this is again left behind what I have learned through my lifelong study of Dharma. Again, Master said this before again, that I have nothing for you all except the teaching of the sutra. So that's what the teaching of the Master all about, the two great teacher. 26 is this is a true realization, extraordinary realization of the Master Zhi Zhe. I think when he was in Da Su San, he managed within 4 days, 4 nights to went into Nuttara Samadhi, where people take hundreds of years to attain that. And where does his wisdom come from? And perhaps it was, that's what I said earlier, that he was at the Vulture Peak together with many other Bodhisattvas at that point of time, listening to the expounding of the Lotus Sutra by the Buddha, meaning that he has been cultivating many lifetimes before this, so that his wisdom got him to attain that Nuttara Samadhi within 4 days and 4 nights. Next, please. And the Fa Peak realization, that is the second realization that Master Zhi Zhe had, and that was he was having the battle with the Mara, and he was meditating. Mara of the mind came to disturb him, tried to distract him, and tried to influence him to give out the teaching of the Buddha's teaching. But then the Dharma Master, the great Dharma Master, through meditation, through concentration of his pure Buddha nature, will he calm himself, not affected by any of the external factors, the Mara, and he overcame the battle. And that was, at that point of time, the realization that he came to realize at this time was that he have to go back to his Buddha nature, go back to his true self, and without any external factors. And with that, at the same time, to practice wisdom and compassion and apply them in the teaching. That was subsequent to that. He, after the battle, in his meditation, a sage talked to him about what he should do to further use his teaching, to use his wisdom and compassion and apply them to his teaching. So this is two great realization. One is Hua Ting, San, and the other one is in the Ta Su San. Okay, now we go to the final one. That is the Master Zhi Zhe's value. We see his humble, his inclusiveness. He don't differentiate, he don't exclude people. And his courage, where he knew the danger to go up to Ta Su San. With his determination, he continued and moved on to go up to Tasusan to acquire the Dharma. And his perseverance, he continued studying. Even there's no candlelight, he lighted the wood for the light to study. And of course, his generosity. He never claimed credit to himself. He shared all the credit to other people. Actually, all the 6 paramita, he was actually practicing it. And that is actually he already by then, when he learned under Master Hui Kwang, who is a precept master, he actually already practiced all the precept and all the teaching during that point of time. So, brother and sister, that's about what I want to share about my understanding of chapter 25 and the short summary of the teaching of this Master Zhi Zhe in this book study. Cảm ơn everyone. Om Mito Pho.
And Brother Lu, for your generous sharing. As the time is getting late, I'll just very quickly provide a feedback and make my thanks to Brother Lu. What better way to summarize on the last chapter, on the last episode, by going through the important parts of each phases. As Brother Lu said, I think is the perseverance. And I would like to commend on our group, on this group, on all of you, because I went back to take a look at this particular study. And with our progress, I think every month we have 2 of these study groups. And it's about, so 25 chapters comes up to be about 12 months plus. And there are some months where there are some interruptions. So we started, first session was by Brother Jeff, and it was February 13th of last year. So we ventured through this, and it through ups and downs, and we got through this. And I also went back to what Brother Lu was talking about the last episode, and also talking about the passing on of the Dharma. Master also spoke about this on 2018. On 2018, when she was talking about chapter, I think 17, talking about the merits. And I think all of this points to something very important, to the last story where why isn't there anyone to make the vow? And why did Dharma Master Zhi Zhe eventually pass away, or decided to end his life? Because at age of 60 was still, you know, in the world of Zhi Zhe, it's about beginning, right? 60 is about where we begin. Most of our volunteers around that age group, and she decided that it was it, because there was just lacking of interest. So I think, and at the time Master talks about it during the morning Dharma talk, it was all about deciding that if the disciples don't feel like they want to learn, then maybe the teacher have no reason to stay. So I think, once again, this is something that we all have to take into heart, that it is us that drives Master. It's not just the Master herself. Yes, she has great vow, but it's all of us that pieces together this great vow. Just like Master always says, without us, without all the disciples, this would not have been possible. Same thing. The great sutra of the Lotus Sutra, the great teachings in the Lotus Sutra would not be possible if we are not interested, or if we are not part of it. Master cannot carry on this on the one-person show. It's not. You need the teacher, you need the listener, you need the followers, you need the teachings, and all these accomplishments need to come together. So without any one of us, this would not have been possible. Once again, going back to chapter 11, the appearance of the great stupa, it's the same thing. It's not just the teacher that wants to teach, but you also have to have the listeners and the students that want to learn. So once again, it is up to us. It's not just the great vow. Even her own great vow isn't going to be enough Okay, even her own great vow is not going to be enough to overturn all of our karma that has accumulated. It's up to us. Okay, so I still really think that the very important point that Master wanted all of us to review Master Zhi Zhe's episodes, a series, was because accumulation of the last episode where are we prepared to take the vow when the calling is here, not unprepared. I think the students, it's not that they don't have the vow, it's that they are unprepared. They didn't know the teacher was going to ask this question. They didn't know, they weren't prepared. So when they were asked, they were humble, they were not sure how to answer. But let us not make the same mistake and don't know how to answer when the calling is here. And trust me, the calling is now. Show your interest, show your passion, show your ability and willingness to learn and to follow the teachings. And that I think is a very important, and for all of us, we will gain the merit of being able to be in the same time of the true Dharma being taught. And I think that is very important. So thanks to all, that's my response. And thanks to Brother Lu. What better way to cap our study on the 25th episode. Thanks to all. Thank you.
No. Okay, because of time, sorry, making face you. Okay, because of time constraint, we have to call it a night. We'll continue tomorrow. First and foremost, to Brother Lu, sorry for asking brothers last minute, but yet brothers still say, okay, I'm very grateful for all this. Okay, Kan Brother Joe for the impassioned advice. Brother Lu, sorry, if you have any thing for Brother Joe?
No, thank you so much. I was spoken to him for a long time. Wish him well. Yeah, continue to support us, to guide us. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Brother Lu. I haven't seen you in a while too, but looking forward to see you next time.
Yeah, sure. Kan.
Yeah, we're also looking forward to return to abode after this pandemic is over. Kan to Brother Lu, Kan to Brother Joe for lots of heartfelt and wisdom sharing. Thank you, brothers and sisters, for your presence tonight. Hope that each of us could sustain the Dharma joy and take in another piece of Dharma Master and Hualian to our life. Let us please make 3 vows to the Buddha and Dharma Master as we depart to apply these teachings in our daily life. Let us pay our respects to our teachers of life, universal truth. Palms together. First bow. Second bow. Third bow. Okay, Kan everyone. Hey, Kan Brother Lu, you did a very good job. I never expect this is done within 12 hours. I thought it's like weeks. Very well done.
No, this is really aspiration from you and from Brother Joe.
Brother Joe is always.
Bravo, Brother Lu. Super sharing.
Thank you, Brother Lu.
Thank
you, really. 真的 overwhelming, very heartfelt.
Your best
so many
birthday present.
Oh, birthday present. Give him so much pressure, is it?
Good night.
Good night.
Thank you, Brother Joe. See you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.
Tomorrow,
Yep, tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Tomorrow.